Part 48. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 473. As expected, Han Qian was late again. During the first month of work after the Chinese New Year, Han Qian was punctual every day, never being late, never leaving early, never fighting, and never messing around. Yan Qingqing calculated that the time was exactly 30 days. Han Qian was standing in front of the time card machine in sportswear, when Yan Qingqing's voice came from behind. Stop making excuses. As the general manager of the company, I have made personal rules for Han Qian. There are fines for being late, fines for being disheveled, fines for fighting, fines for playing games, and rewards for teasing the general manager. Oh. Han Qian didn't have much energy, so he agreed perfunctorily and walked to the elevator. Yan Qingqing was a little reluctant, so she chased into the elevator and whispered in Han Qian's ear. There are rewards for teasing the general manager. Mom, can you please stop making trouble? The warmth last night tortured me all night, and now my back hurts. Torturing you all night. Yan Qingqing suddenly became excited, grabbed Han Qian's collar and began to look up and down, asking eagerly. What's the fuss about? Han Qian, were you caught first by Wen Nuan? Han Qian closed his eyes and knocked away Yan Qingqing's hand to unbuckle his belt, and said helplessly. My dear, can you think of something serious? Yan Qingqing grabbed Han Qian and said anxiously. My man will be harmed. This is not a serious matter. It's no harm. We both watched a TV series last night. We watched it late. I'm going to the general department. Will you go with me? Yan Qingqing didn't speak and stared at Han Qian's eyes, as if she wanted to verify the truth of the matter in her eyes. She followed Han Qian all the way into the general department. Yang Lan looked a little confused when she saw Han Qian, who was late. Displeased, he said softly. Late again. You just insisted on working hard for a few days. Fortunately, Mr. Yan didn't come to the company today, otherwise you would have been scolded again. After the words fell, Yan Qingqing's figure appeared at the door. Yang Lan panicked and opened his mouth, not knowing how to explain what he just said. Han Qian took a deep breath and said softly. Sister Yang, did Yates and Wu Siquan come to see you yesterday? Changing the topic intentionally or unintentionally, Yang Lan nodded slightly and whispered. I've looked for it. I'm anxious to find you for this reason. They want to represent furniture. That Yates said they can only rent a quarter. What do you think? As he spoke, he handed Han Qian the layout plan of the attic. The southeast area was drawn on it, which seemed to be rented to Yates and Wu Siquan. Han Qian took a look at it and smiled. Let's rent it. It doesn't matter how much we sell it. It's empty even if it's empty. Sister Yang, have you informed the advertising department? The funds will be used to put out advertisements. I'll just say hello to the yeomanman here. Sister Yang, what's the price? Go and talk. You have to work hard to make the general department the most important department of the company. Then as the minister, your face will be bright, right? Don't worry. I will definitely put you on the throne. Yang Lan lightly knocked on Han Qian's forehead, annoyed. What's the throne? Then I'll go to the advertising department now. Just let Shan Shan or Deputy Lu go. Why are you here? How is Bai Bei doing lately? The two of them forgot about Yan Qingqing while chatting, which made Lady Yasha look a little unhappy. She coughed slightly, but the two people still didn't stop talking. Yan Qingqing frowned and whispered. Han Qian, Yang Lan. You two are here to work, not to chat about family matters. You both go to work. Yang Lan trotted to the advertising department with his head lowered. Han Qian sat on a chair and spoke to Yao Shui opposite him. Sister Shui, please find me the phone number of the person in charge of advertising at the Yamen Gate, and contact them to ask about the price of the advertising space. Okay. What are you busy with, Deputy Lou? Fire safety performance in the shopping mall. I'm going to plan an event to attract customers. What's the matter? Well, I have something to do. I have to send people from several companies to the shopping mall. There's nothing serious. Well, I'll go to the planning department. After saying that, he stood up and was about to leave. He turned around and saw Yan Qingqing. Han Qian sat on the chair obediently, muttering in a low voice that he would not go today. Yan Qingqing clapped her hands, giving the general department a hand in reality, and then stuffed a few more a sweet jujube, both grace and power. People who go to work have long been smoothed out, and they need to be taught a few lessons. It is true that money can go into their pockets. Yan Qingqing gave bonuses to the people in the general department to make up for their busy work in the past month. The money was not much, 1,000 yuan per person, and told them that they could have dinner together in the evening and pay the company's account. Dinner. It just so happened that when Nuan went home to spend time with her mother today, Han Qian patted his belly and said with a smile, "Fortunately, I didn't eat in the morning, and I won't eat at noon. I'll eat more in the evening." Su Liang said immediately, "I regret it. My wife made me a sandwich this morning, ugh." Yao Shui said immediately, "Yes, my husband makes preserved egg and lean meat porridge, and I have to eat it right after I wake up. It's really annoying." "Hey, who says it's not the case? Your sister-in-law prepared a table so early in the morning. You said you won't eat it? I'm sorry for your sister-in-law. She still can't eat? Han Qian, do you live by yourself now? Don't you want to eat in the morning?" Han Qian frowned and looked at the three guys. "Did you do this on purpose? You know that no one will cook for me in the morning. What do you mean if it's not the three of you? Do you want to fight? I have a bad temper. If I don't eat in the morning, it's called exercising. What are you doing to me? It hurts. Hey, hey. Your hair is still hanging out, right? As a leader, Mr. Yan, it hurts." Yan Qingqing grabbed Han Qian's hair and dragged him out of the office and into the elevator. Now in the company, Mr. Yan's treatment of Han Daxian is one of the must-see programs for all department members. The live broadcast is very effective. Yan Qingqing took Han Qian out of the company and went straight to the cart selling soy milk and pancakes on the street. When the ant buying snacks saw Yan Qingqing coming, she started the car and was about to run. Yan Qingqing started to chase her, but the ant didn't run away after all, and laughed at Yan Qingqing. "Just one day, just one day. I won't come tomorrow. You see, I have cleaned up the ground. There is no harm." In total, this ant has been kicked out by Yan Qingqing. Yan Qingqing glanced at the ground from side to side and curled her lips. "You can make a lot of money here in a day. I heard that you make more than our executives in a month. That's not bad. You can make 200 or 300 every morning. Mr. Yan, you're talking too much. How can I make so much money? If it's less than 200, I'll leave right now. Make a pancake, bring some soy milk, and don't put any sugar." "Okay, Mr. Yan, please click back. This oily smoke is big. This is obviously not the first time they have dealt with each other. Yan Qingqing should not come to this kind of food stall to buy breakfast. She is the only one chasing the ant, and the ant refuses to leave." After getting the breakfast and handing it to Han Qian, when Yan Qingqing wanted to pay, the ant said she didn't want it. Yan Qingqing said angrily, "I owe you 10 or 20 yuan. Do you look down on me?" The ant collected the money nonchalantly. Yan Qingqing turned and left, and said at the same time, "Go home and wash the car. Although you are not a member of honor, you are still doing business in front of honor. You are preparing some food and masks. I am too lazy to talk to you and you don't listen. Okay, Mr. Yan, please go slowly. Yan Qingqing pulled Han Qian away. Han Qian looked at the pancakes, fruit, and soy milk in his hands, then looked back at the ant at the snack cart. At this moment, the ant was smiling from ear to ear, holding the phone as if to show off what she could do in the future. A stall is set up here. Han Qian was a little confused and asked in a low voice. You know each other well. You think we'll get to know each other? Then, you let her continue selling breakfast here. Han Qian didn't understand even more. Someone with Yan Qingqing's personality shouldn't have a deep friendship with Auntie? Yan Qingqing took the soy milk in Han Qian's hand, inserted the straw into it, took a sip, and said softly. Not being familiar with her doesn't mean you don't understand her. I've chased her away a few times before, and she's run away a few times, but she always comes back shamelessly. I've asked people from the city management to come over, and even after I lectured her, she still comes back secretly. I just found out recently that she had a son with cerebral palsy. The men didn't want to be dragged down and ran away, leaving this orphan and widowed mother. After the disease was cured, the child only had an IQ of 7 or 8 years old. In the morning, the child would help him prepare ingredients. I have earned money to buy medicine for my child. If I really drive her away, my mother and I may not be able to starve to death one day, and I can't bear it. I just have to scare her and let her clean up the floor. Watch today. She thought about my future mother-in-law, who has such a promising son like you, but she has nothing. Han Qian took a sip of soy milk, leaned close to Yan Qingqing and whispered softly. Is the Yasha Empress transformed into Guanyin today? Do you want Guanyin to send you a child? Soy milk isn't sweet, I'm going to find some sugar. Flee in despair. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 474. The General Department has completely bid farewell to the name of nursing home and has become an indispensable department of the company. The Honor Home Mall is officially opening, and the land in Dongcheng is about to begin. Qianwan doesn't play games much anymore. He plays a game every afternoon. Yes, I am slowly accepting jobs. Her job is somewhat different from that of other members of the General Department. Yan Qingqing and Yang Lan intentionally or unintentionally brought her into contact with high-level management. Qianwan cannot work in the General Department all her life, but this girl has not noticed it yet. Suliang found Han Qian and told Han Qian something. He's resigning. Things happened suddenly. Han Qian didn't turn around for a while, then he frowned and asked. Because of Li Li. Suliang sighed and nodded. A small part of the reason, the other half is my own reason. I can't always rely on you and Dichiener to live. I feel sorry for Sister Yang when I changed departments in the Glory Group. I went to work under Gao Fulai. I feel sorry for Mr. Yan's trust. I want to change my place. If the tree is moved, it will die, but if the person is moved, it will live, right? Oh. There was a hint of disappointment in Han Qian's tone, and Suliang raised his head and sighed. Hey. It's a pity that Mr. Yan doesn't approve it and can't change the place. You. Han Qian raised his head and kicked Suliang's butt. The latter grinned and giggled. They were teasing Han Qian for a long time. The two brothers stood at the door of the bathroom, leaning on the door frame on one side and smoking cigarettes. Suliang held it in his mouth. He smoked and touched his bald head and spoke calmly. Someone came to me and was willing to make an offer. I was very moved. The money can save me 20 years of hard work. To be precise, I was moved. Do you know which time it was? Han Qian lowered his head and shook his head with a smile. Suliang laughed at himself and continued laughing. 2 million, I changed jobs and asked to leave Glory with all your plans. My answer was to think about it. I saw you within a day, and then I found that I took money too seriously. To be precise, this a little money. Suliang glanced down at the water ghost on his wrist, breathed a sigh of relief at the watch screen, and wiped it carefully. Han Qian gradually frowned and smiled bitterly. You gave up 2 million just for such a broken watch. Are you brave or not? Suliang raised his head and squinted at Han Qian, saying with disdain. We've only known each other for a short time. You're the one who gave me a house or a watch. Which one of us is stupid? It's not a question of stupidity or not. It's a question of whether we take each other seriously. I feel uncomfortable if I don't tell these things. Who found you? The vice president of Shuncheng Group, whose surname is Wang, can go directly to Changxiang to find me. Wang Kai. I don't know. I think this vice president is probably just a lobbyist. It was Lu Guangming's idea behind it. I felt that he had problems before. After the incident at the resort, I felt that he had even more problems. Kind of, the feeling of one woman marrying 2 husbands. Han Qian couldn't hold back his laughter and said with a smile. You mean he's close to me and also close to some guys? Suliang smiled and blew out a puff of smoke. Because you are my brother, I have studied the relationship with some big guys in the city. Among the older generation, Lin Men's reputation is much greater than we thought. Now you are so powerful that you can compete with Lin Zongheng and Lu Shenga. To counteract, he was the only one in the family back then. Lu Guangming is more than 20 years older than the 2 of us, and I have only known you for a short time, right? Han Qian nodded in agreement. Well, what you said makes sense. I've been taking care of Lu Guangming recently. Don't resign yet. I don't know who to hand over the company's affairs to if you resign. I recently got some extra money. Will you go with me? Worried about someone ambushing you? Han Qian smiled bitterly and nodded. Throwing away the cigarette butts in his hands, their palms collided in the air with a crisp sound. Suliang went to the staff elevator to find Li Li, and Han Qian went to the high-end elevator to find Ji Jing. Ji Jing is not in the operations department. Han Qian is sitting on Ji Jing's chair with his feet on the table and eating toffee. When Ji Jing comes back, he wants to drag Ji Jing to go with him in the evening. Han Qian was not worried about any danger when having dinner together in a busy street. As for the dinner party, he never wanted to attend it in his life. Too dangerous. The toffee was salty. Han Qian rummaged through the box and cabinet to find a paper cup. After searching around, he came to his senses. Ji Jing didn't like to be in contact with people. Paper cups definitely don't exist. Use Ji Jing's cup. Well, I'm not too embarrassed. Just when I was about to get up and go out to find a cup, the office door was pushed open. Han Qian was stunned. The clerk who walked in was stunned. Han Qian. I am. No, I'm asking why you are here. Where is our manager? I have no idea. There is an operation plan here that needs our manager's signature. Can you make a call? No, just give me the plan. I think it's no problem and I'll sign it for her. And it was sent over last week and you signed it too. Where? Look in the drawer. Han Qian opened the drawer with doubts. When he touched the middle drawer, Han Qian felt that something was wrong. The drawer was a bit heavy. When he opened it, he saw that it was full of folders. Han Qian had a little trouble lifting it. There was a bang on the table. Han Qian tilted his head and said doubtfully. Don't tell me that I haven't signed yet. What is your manager busy with? Leave it here. Don't leave yet. Tell me which price comparison you are anxious about, and by the way, tell me about your operating philosophy. The staff guy seemed to be the one with more say in the operations department besides Ji Jing. He pulled up a chair and was about to sit down when Han Qian said hurriedly. Find me a paper cup, I'm a little thirsty. 2 young men were dealing with Ji Jing's stranded documents in the office. From the conversation, they learned that the young man's name was Dongming, his real name was Ding Kai, and he had the same surname as his mother. Dongming had something in his stomach. The two were dealing with the company's expansion network. We started chatting about the operation documents. Honor was a large-scale swimwear factory. The person in charge of the swimwear factory proposed e-commerce sales, and the operations were sent to the operations department. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Ji Jing came back. She opened the door and saw Han Qian and Dongming dealing with her work. Ji Jing blushed slightly, hid the garment bag behind her and whispered, Big nephew, why are you here?" Han Qian raised his head and glanced at Ji Jing, laughing softly. "I bought it all, what else are you hiding?" Dongming stood up and said softly, "Sister Ji, you are busy, I will go out first." The young man was very discerning and knew that he should not stay here anymore. After working in the operations department for so many years, he had long understood the temper and character of his manager. Ji Jing nodded to Dongming and stepped aside. After Dongming left, Ji Jing closed the door, put her hands behind her back, and whispered, "Mr. Yan insists on dragging me shopping." Han Qian nodded and smiled. "Well, let me see what you bought." "I bought you some casual shirts and a set of thermal underwear. I bought a skirt and a pair of shoes myself." "Mr. Yan said that you have nothing to wear, just." Ji Jing stood beside her like a child who had done something wrong. Han Qian stretched out his hands to hug Ji Jing's legs, took the bag from her hand, took out a black and white polo shirt, and said softly, "Short sleeves. Well, Mr. Yan bought you a shirt and a suit. I was thinking about buying some short-sleeved shirts. I fell in love with a pair of leather shoes. They were too expensive and I couldn't bear them." Han Qian raised his head and looked at Ji Jing with a bitter smile. "You said it's expensive, so how much does it cost?" "More than 7,000. It's good if you don't buy it. If you do, I'll say you spent money indiscriminately. Go and rest for a while. These documents will be processed soon. I must interrupt you. You go with me to dinner tonight, Aunt Ji, are you? Do you have procrastination?" This sentence struck a chord in Ji Jing's heart, and she blushed even more. She lowered her head and couldn't say anything. Seeing her look like this, Han Qian knew that she was right, so he lowered his head and said again, "From now on, I will come back to your place every Friday to supervise you in handling the work at hand." "Really? Then I'll leave it until Friday." There was a bit of excitement in Ji Jing's eyes, and Han Qian covered his head and smiled bitterly. "It's over, I'm careless." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 475. The night in the city is the most lively time of the day. The weather is warm and night falls. There is a winter of fun hidden in the body. I can no longer bear it. 4 cars parked on the street of the pedestrian street night market. Yao Shui, the first one, jumped out of the car and rushed into the night market with the girl Yelai in hand. She hasn't visited the night market for a long time. Yang Lan told them not to eat, otherwise they wouldn't be able to eat for a while. Yao Shui waved her hands like a child and shouted, "Okay." Yang Lan didn't get out of the car. She and Ji Jing went to book a hotel, and neither of them wanted to. I really like places like night markets. Too messy. Just after Yang Lan left, Xiao Yangjia called and asked Han Qian to intercede for her. She didn't want to eat instant noodles with Xiao Baibei at home. She heard that there was a big dinner tonight. She was absolutely obedient and would take Xiao Bei with her after dinner. When Bei goes home, he will never mess around. Han Qian hummed, and Xiao Yangjia shouted to Xiao Baibei to change clothes. Then Han Qian smiled and asked if he wanted to take it. Xiao Yangjia shouted yes, and then said pitifully, "Brother Qian, I am also a little beauty who is loved by everyone. If someone has evil intentions, stop the ink stain, my dear. Wan Wan, are you going to pick up little Yangjia?" Qian Wan made an okay gesture to Han Qian and drove the more than 4 million luxury car to pick up Xiao Yangjia. Listening to the roar of the McLaren, Han Qian felt a little distressed. The thing was like a machine that drank oil. Qian Wan blew up the street and lost 10 yuan. Han Qian sighed softly. In the words of this girl, she never shows off her wealth, it's just her living conditions. The comparison between people is so irritating that Han Qian's head hurts even after $4 million. This girl spent $4 million to buy a big toy. Han Qian suddenly raised his head. How much money does Yan Qingqing have now? She shouldn't have much money. She will only have money when the dividends are paid out at the end of the year. By then, she can at least repay Lu Shenge's bet. After thinking about it, Han Qian sent a text message to Yan Qingqing, asking her if she had slept. Qingqing replied, "I am only 27, go away, I have business to do tonight, don't disturb me." Oh. At 7:30, a group of people rushed to the restaurant where they were having a dinner. South China Sea Fishing Port. Listening to this name, Han Qian felt something was wrong. Why do these guys like seafood so much? What's there to eat in that thing? Looking at the crabs, Han Qian felt that this thing was useless. After sitting down, everyone became rude. They were all from the same department, except Ji Zheng. Within a few minutes, Yang Yan's expression changed when she saw Yang Jia and Xiao Baibei walking in. She stood up and said solemnly, "I'm not saying I won't let you come over. What's wrong with you?" Xiao Yangjia hid behind Qian Wan and said nothing. Han Qian stood up, held Xiao Baibei in his arms, and whispered, "Don't pay attention to your mother. Your uncle misses you, and he doesn't even mention calling him." Xiao Baibei hugged Han Qian's neck and kissed his face. Lu Zhuolong, who was sitting next to him, stretched out his hand to Xiao Baibei and smiled like a sunflower to flatter him. "Xiao Baibei, let uncle hug you too." Xiao Baibei hugged Han Qian's neck tightly, looked at Lu Zhuolong warily, and said seriously, "Baibei is too heavy. Grandpa will be tired. Let uncle hold him." "It's grandpa again." Lu Zhuolong was a little hurt. Han Qian laughed loudly, and Qian Wan also took little Yang Jia to sit down far away. 13 or 4 people gathered around the table. Everyone was familiar with each other, and there were no restrictions. "One drink for you and one for me." Making harmless jokes. Han Qian didn't drink much. He lowered his head and carefully picked up food for Xiao Baibei. During this period, Ji Jing and Yang Lan came over to take Xiao Baibei away, but Han Qian did not agree. There were only a few dishes on the table that Han Qian could eat, and most of them were seafood. After 3 rounds of drinking, Su Liang went to the bar. Han Qian was too boring not to drink. He asked Yang Jia, a minor, to go home quickly and have some nightlife. Yang Jia, who originally wanted to drink, was threatened by Yang Lan many times with his eyes. He sighed. Go away, you just hate me." Han Qian said softly. "Mr. Yan may come over soon, are you sure you don't want to go home?" After saying this, Xiao Yangjia stood up and pulled Xiao Baibei away, as if she didn't want to stay for a minute. Yan Qingqing was more devil than the devil in her eyes. After being tortured all day, she didn't want to see her again at night. After Xiao Yangjia left, it meant that dinner was over and the next show was about to begin. When going out, Su Liang asked Mr. Yan if he really wanted to come. If Mr. Yan came, they would disperse. Han Qian slapped Su Liang in the face and laughed and cursed. "Why are you afraid of her? She's here with me. I probably won't come. Let's go." I don't have to go home today. I'll let my wife go home after the bar. Let's have some drinks. That's what I mean. A group of people went to the bar in District 8. After entering the bar, everyone dispersed. The young men went to choose their own targets. Not long after, Guan Dagu came over and saw Han Qian opening his arms. Brother Han. Han Qian opened his arms and smiled. Brother Guan. In the eyes of everyone, the hug between these two guys was a conspiracy. Guan Dagu was very generous and brought Yang Lan and his group to the second floor. In Guan Dagu's words, the cost of going to the second floor is relatively high, compared to the first floor. The quality is much higher. There are few people on the second floor, but there is someone taking care of them. A few people were seated in the circular corridor, where they could see the monster-like dance floor on the first floor and the scantily clad DJ twisting his body to stir up the atmosphere. The waiter brought a lot of wine, including beer and foreign brands. Guan Dagu was sitting on the sofa. Edge, whispered. Don't refuse. Brother Han, coming here feels like coming home, let alone bringing our sister and younger siblings, as well as Brother Su and his wife. How about I give my master a call? Han Qian smiled. Farewell, I'm not going to give you any money at all. This desk doesn't count as money. There are 2 desks below that are colleagues. They take the company's accounts. The estimated money counts as money. Boss 2 has not yet escaped poverty. To get rid of poverty, I have to tell my master this. Guan Yunbiao drank a few drinks here to tell those dishonest people not to take advantage of this table. They were all his friends. Yang Lan was a little interested in the bottles of foreign beer on the table and discussed it with Ji Zheng. The two opened the bottle, and Yang Lan blew it in one breath. It's not just men who are greedy for alcohol, women are the same. Yang Ian's life used to be a mess. After she was freed, she fell in love with the taste of wine. She has temperament and knows when to drink and when not to drink. Now Han Qian and Sul Yang are both in control. Her brothers, who were her sisters, were all here, so she wasn't worried. Ji Jing also has a good capacity for drinking. She drank more than half of the bottle and whispered. This wine is a bit bitter. Yang Lan nodded, and Han Qian, Sul Yang, and Lu Zhulong clinked the bottles and drank half of the bottle. Then Yao Shui suggested playing dice, and Han Qian asked softly. How to play this? Yang Lan picked up the sieve cup and sneered. Simple, drink if you call the wrong one, drink if you drop the dice, drink if you touch the dice, drink if you stack the dice. The rules of this game scared Han Qian and whispered. This means I will definitely drink it. Yang Lan lost her dignity in the office, crossed her legs, held her chin in one hand and narrowed her eyes. Don't worry, you can't leave this bar standing today. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 476. As Yang Lan said, as long as Han Qian had any problems, the wine glass would be brought to him. Han Qian was too embarrassed to cheat, and Ji Jing had no intention of helping. This time she stood in the camp of her best friend. After drinking a lot of beer, Han Qian felt like there was a war in his stomach. He got up and went to the bathroom. De Qianer wanted to help Han Qian, but Han Qian refused and muttered that he didn't drink too much. No need to support. In fact, everyone was doing the same thing, but it was Han Qian's first time to drink beer and wine together, and he couldn't accept it for a while. After vomiting in the toilet all day long, I washed my face and staggered back to the booth. When I sat down, I found that Sul Yang and his wife, De Qianer, and others had left, leaving Ji Jing to sit on the sofa and wait for Han Qian. Plop. Han Qian lay on the sofa, his head resting on Ji Jing's legs, and muttered. Well, where are the people? What are they doing? We have to keep drinking. Ji Jing hugged Han Qian's head and comforted him softly. They went dancing downstairs. They all drank a lot, so that's almost enough. Oh. Aunt Ji, kiss me. Ji Jing kissed Han Qian's forehead. Han Qian sat up instantly and said with a silly smile. Full HP resurrection. If you like someone, no matter what he does, he is always cute. He looks at Han Qian with squinted eyes and smiles, and can't help but reach out and pinch his face. Hey Acridine, after drinking so much wine, can't you even open your eyelids? It's okay, it's enough to see you alone. You have to say that Han Qian is a straight man. He is really straight. If you want to say that he knows how to flirt, it is quite fatal. Moreover, most of them are caught up by Ji Jing. Han Qian is flirting with Ji Jing while drinking. He took Ji Jing's soft, boneless little hand and put it on his face. It was cool and comfortable. Aunt Ji, there is a saying that goes like this: if your hands are cold, your parents will be waiting for you; if your hands are cold, it will hurt your lover. Look at your cold hands, so I have to feel sorry for you. This is Han Qian saying what he has never wanted to say after drinking. He likes Ji Jing. Ji Jing nodded vigorously and gently touched Han Qian's face. His eyes were full of love. Then Han Qian muttered in a low voice. My hands are weird. They are neither cold nor hot. My father doesn't feel pain and my mother doesn't love them. Hey. It's so difficult for me. Then I love you. Moi. Han Qian held Ji Jing's hand. Alcohol gave him too much courage. Just when their lips were about to touch, the noisy music suddenly stopped and a scream came from downstairs. It belongs to Yang Lan. Han Qian stood up suddenly and trotted to the fence. There were too many people downstairs and he couldn't see what was going on. He turned around and shouted to Ji Jing. Aunt Ji, don't move here. I'll go down and take a look. You two, take good care of my Aunt Ji. If something happens, I'll kill you. The waiters on the second floor knew Han Qian's identity pretty much, and they didn't dare to turn a deaf ear to the young man's words about the big dog. A waitress sat next to Ji Jing, and the remaining two stood beside Ji Jing. To the left and right of the seat, in case someone comes over to play hooligans while drunk. Han Qian hurriedly ran downstairs. His legs were a little weak, so he was holding onto the stairs. He pushed the person in front of him arrogantly, and heard Qian Wan's angry shout in his ears. Brother Liang, be careful, none of you can escape. There's a fight? Han Qian pulled up a chair and threw it out, hitting a young man on the back. Han Qian growled. Damn it, beat my brother. Hua Luo touched the wine bottle and smashed the head of a man standing in front of Qian Wan. Click. The beer bottle shattered in response, and at the same time fists came at him. In the chaos, he was kicked in the lower abdomen, and his feet were unsteady and he fell to the ground. Han Qian was just about to get up when a chair hit him, and then the fists and kicks fell like raindrops. Han Qian Suliang kept groping on the ground, looking for someone to take advantage of him. Suliang's head was covered with blood now, and he couldn't stand up several times after trying to get up. Just when Han Qian thought he was going to suffer tonight, Lu Zhuolong took action. He rushed into the crowd with an ashtray in his hand. He drove away the young men who besieged Han Qian with 3 strokes, stretched out his hand and pulled him up. Han Qian said angrily in a low voice. Can you stand up? Han Qian stood up with Lu Zhuolong's pull. The pain had already made him sober. He originally thought that the help would be young people like Duan Mingfeng or Gao Shuang, but he never expected that the most cowardly Lu Zhuolong would be to help. Raising his hand to wipe the blood from his face, Han Qian bent down to pick up the iron leg of a stool and looked at the men in front of him. They are all about 16 or 17 years old, with yellow and green hair. It is still cold today. They are all wearing short sleeves and tattoos on their arms. The young man who was shot in the head by Han Qian is holding the clothes, covering his head. A group of kids. Then Han Qian spotted 2 men standing behind the children. One of them was looking at him with doubtful eyes, and the other was holding a cigarette in his mouth with a sarcastic sneer on his lips. Lu Zhuolong whispered. The one who smoked, he touched Li Li, and then. Deputy Lu, it goes without saying. You go and ask Guan Yunbiao to come over. Just leave these guys to me. After so many years of fighting, I have never suffered a loss, but I ended up being beaten by these little bastards. At this moment, Suliang also stood up with help. Han Qian stepped forward step by step with the legs of the stool. The young man holding a cigarette whistled, and 5 or 6 young boys rushed towards Han Qian. In an instant, Han Qian he was at a disadvantage again. Even with Lu Zhuolong's help, he couldn't get any advantage from these born calves for a while. Han Qian hit a yellow-haired child on the knee with a stick. Huang Mao let out a wail, greeted Han Qian's parents, and then took out a switchblade. Use the knife. The ones Han Qian didn't like to mess with the most were these children. They were really desperate for their lives when they fought. But at this moment, a wailing sound came from behind these children. They turned around and saw that the child they had beaten so hard just now was helpless. The man who got up held an ashtray in his hand. There was blood on the corner of the glass ashtray. The smoking young man lay on the ground covering his head. Suliang held an ashtray in one hand and covered his head with the other. Blood seeped out from his fingertips as he cursed. Touch my wife. Han Qian shouted when he saw this. That hand touched it. Which hand was hit? You like fighting, right? Don't call the police on anyone. Are you humming dead? After Han Qian roared, several guys watching the scene in the bar hurried over and replied breathlessly. Uncle, brother dog received an urgent mission. We heard the call and rushed over from another place. Which one to call, you speak? Looking at the 7 or 8 men in black suits and black clothes around Han Qian, the children finally realized they were afraid and stood there uneasily. Han Qian pointed at these children and growled. Don't let anyone go, especially the one who got it. You like to hold a knife, right? Chop off all your fingers. Guan Dagu's boys took out their sticks and rushed over, beating the children to the ground with 3 blows. Han Qian had no mercy. After beating him, no one could get over it. Han Qian wiped his face. With blood on his face, one of the boys grabbed the stick in his hand and staggered towards the young man lying on the ground. He raised the stick and hit the grandson's forearm with the stick. A wail resounded throughout the bar. When Han Qian was about to throw the second stick, Yang Lan and Li Li stepped forward to stop him. At the same time, a group of people walked in from the main entrance of the bar. By now, the people in the bar had dispersed. Most of the time, Han Qian's face instantly turned gloomy when he looked at the people walking over. Lin Ment, Lin Zongheng, Luo Shen, Lu Guangming and their confidants were behind them. The brother-in-law Wan Kai who couldn't be beaten with 7 sticks was also there. Han Qian looked at Lin Ment coldly with a stick in his hand. At this time, the young man's companion came to his senses. Shouted to Luo Shen. Sister God, the young master was beaten. As soon as these words came out, Han Qian suddenly cursed in his heart. Did you draft it? This is a game. Han Qian took a step back and whispered. Sister Yang, let someone take Suliang away first. Quick. Leave quickly. These guys are coming for me. At this time, Luo Shen had already ran over, squatting next to her brother, raising her head and glaring at Han Qian and others. Leave. Don't even think about leaving. Zongheng, call the police. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 477. He never expected that someone would set a trap for him at this time. The policeman at the Yamen gate came. After a brief inquiry, Han Qian was instantly at a disadvantage. Several boys with yellow hair and tattoos insisted that they did not know Luo Fu. They just didn't like the bald head. They would accept any punishment. The oldest of these children was only 17 years old. Luo Fu covered his head and cried with red eyes. I don't know them at all. I came to the bar to hang out. I just wanted to buy that woman a drink. Who knew she had a boyfriend? His boyfriend hit me when he came up. I have already been too modest. They accidentally injured these children. He thought I was the one who brought these children, and he broke my head with an ashtray, and I was beaten so hard by this person that I dared not move my hands. Sister. Brother-in-law, when have I ever been wronged like this? This grown man cried whenever he wanted to, and Han Qian didn't even want to talk now. What can I say? How about surveillance in the bar? There were so many people, and the lights were dim, so it was basically impossible to use it as evidence. The policeman at the Yamen gate knew Han Qian and told the truth. All the evidence now proves that it was the man named Su Yang and him who made the first move. If the other party doesn't fight back, it doesn't count as a fight. If you can keep it private, then keep it private. Han Qian took a deep breath and whispered. Then how does the injury on my brother's head count? Does it count on these little brats? The policeman at the Yamen gate replied in a low voice. Master Han, these little brats are regular visitors to the institute. Okay, I don't need you to take care of these little brats. Can I let Tu Xiao take them away? Master Han, this is not possible. If Boss Tu is taken away, these bastards will lose their lives or a few fingers. We are all here and cannot be taken away by Boss Tu's people. I will contact their parents to give you the most troublesome thing about friends who pay for medical expenses is that they are young, so they criticize education, and at most they will be thrown into a detention center for a few days, where they will be like raising uncles, which is of no use. Han Qian had a headache and turned around to face Yang Lan. Sister, you take your colleagues from the department away first. This matter has nothing to do with them. Su Yang and I have to stay. Li Li, you also go with Sister Yang first. Su Yang will be fine while I'm here. Deputy Lu, let's go, Aunt Ji, let's go, too. Now one can leave one by one, but they don't care, no matter what the other party says. Yang Lan was a little hesitant, no one expected to leave. It's Zhizheng. She supports all the decisions Han Qian makes. Everyone who could leave left, but Lu Zhulong took the initiative to stay. He raised his hand and told the policeman at the Yamenman that he had also participated in the fight. Lu Zhulong's idea was simple. There were more people to share the blame and minimize the punishment. Han Qian didn't drive Lu Zhulong away. He didn't blame those who left, but he was grateful for those who stayed. Women don't count. Han Qian asked in a low voice. What should I say if I go through the Yamen channel? Beat others and judge the crime. Mr. Han, the opponent's strength is not small. It will not do you any good to judge the injuries. Let's deal with those little bastards first. You can talk. I suggest you keep it private. Don't be impulsive or angry. Once you enter the detention center, you will have a criminal record. You are fine, Bureau Li and Mayor Cheng are protecting you, but the person they want to arrest is your friend. If you are busy, I will also be busy. Everything the policeman at the Yamen gate told was the truth, and it was also for Han Qian's good. Seeing the people at the Yamen gate leaving, Han Qian took a deep breath and sighed. He walked towards Su Yang and asked softly how the injury on his head was. Su Yang shook his head and whispered. You're in trouble. No trouble, Deputy Lu, help Liang or take a look at the wound and wrap it up if you can. Luo Shen on the other side was very dissatisfied with the actions of the Yamenmani Er, and angrily ordered them to arrest people. He and the policeman at the Yamenmani Er were determined to give Han Qian face. I'm just doing business and will deal with your affairs later. Just left. Lu Guangming wanted to make peace, and kept saying good things to Luo Fu, thinking that big things would be reduced to trivial matters, but trivial matters were reduced to trivial matters, but this Luo Fu clearly couldn't just suffer a loss like this. Han Qian looked at Su Liang, who was bleeding profusely. Too lazy to wait any longer, he frowned. Tell me how to solve the problem before it's over. Luo Fu glared at Su Liang and growled. I have never suffered such injustice. I must send him to prison. After hearing this, Han Qian bent down and picked up the ashtray on the ground. Luo Fu quickly took a step back and hid behind Luo Shen. Then Han Qian took out a cigarette and lit it, saying softly. It's impossible to go to jail, you just have to set the conditions. You don't want to go to jail, do you? I've heard that Chang Xiang's shareholders often listen to it. If you speak out in awe, you can give me 5% of Chang Xiang's shares and let this matter be over. Han Qian's face turned dark. He knew how to deal with this situation. He knew that Han Qian could not be touched. Now he started to attack the people around Han Qian. During the day, Su Liang had just said that Lu Guangming's people had come to see him. Is this what happened at night? And Lu Guangming is still here. Han Qian took a deep breath. I can't give it, and I'm not a shareholder. Isn't the warmth of imagination your wife? You don't have her, sister. I have a headache and I have to go to the hospital. Su Liang pointed at Luo Fu and shouted. What the do you want me to take you to the crematorium or jail? I'll kill you first when I come out. Ah! Sister, did you hear that? He wants to kill me. I don't even know him. A new problem has arisen again. Han Qian will definitely not let Su Liang go to jail. Not only is the relationship between the two good, Su Liang will not agree to Han Qian asking Nuan for shares to save him, even if he dies. Just in the afternoon he said someone was looking for him to instigate rebellion, so Han Qian lost his shares that night. Shooting yourself in the foot? Han Qian took out his mobile phone and debated whether to make a call. After struggling for about a minute, Han Qian turned his head to look at Su Liang and said softly. 3 months. Then I'll find Cheng Jin. With his back to Linda Wang and his family, Han Qian blinked at Su Liang. Su Liang was slightly stunned, and then said angrily. Qian I'm giving him an ashtray. I'll recognize him for 30 years. He's Luo, you idiot, come over here. Han Qian wanted to test the other party's reaction. Lin Mend, who had never spoken before, spoke. Hey? One is the younger brother of the little god, and the other is the good brother of the nephew. How could things be like this? Luo Fu, Han Qian has divorced Nuan and left the house. Where did this share come from? And talk about it? Luo Fu didn't want to give Lin Mend face, he said angrily. I heard that he helped others get 13% of the shares. Can't he save a brother with 5%? I don't care, I want the shares. Lin Mend was suddenly furious. Is Chang Xiang's shares so easy to get? Luo Shen felt something had changed and gently tugged on Luo Fu's sleeve. The latter came back to his senses and muttered in a low voice. Since Uncle Lin has said it, I don't want the shares anymore, 2 million. Cash. Now, haven't you divorced Nuan? If Nuan sends it over, you are lying to me. Your humming head is golden. Su Liang cursed angrily. Han Qian turned around and shook his head at Su Liang, then Lin Mend spoke. It's only 2 million, I'll pay for it. Han Qian was going crazy. He couldn't guess what was going on in this old guy's head now. Han Qian kept lowering his head with his fists, hoping that this thing would wake up quickly. He was anxious in the eyes of everyone. Performance. Lin Mend set up a trap and asked Luo Fu to perform a bitter trick. The people who asked for shares can understand. The Lin family wants more than 40% of the shares, but what does it mean for this old guy to suddenly be a good person? I can't figure it out. I really can't figure it out. And Lin Mend has to bear the money that Nuan sent over. Is this guy spending money to tease Kiza? Impossible, This old guy can't be so kind. Suddenly an idea flashed in my mind. Wei Tiancheng. Now Wei Tiancheng is trying his best to see him, but Wei Tiancheng has never had the chance. Wei Tiancheng helped Linmend invite Han Qian to the dinner, and Go De Peo appeared that night. Now that Wei Tiancheng has been caught by Han Qian, Linmend is worried Wei Tiancheng bid him be a good person first. But what's the use of being such a good person? Court. This show of goodwill has no effect, and Lu Guangming is also here. Lu Guangming? Han Qian raised his head and looked at Lu Guangming. Based on his personality and relationship, this guy should have said that he paid Han Qian the money, but now he has stopped talking. What the hell is going on? Han Qian really couldn't figure it out, and he was too lazy to think about it. He tried first and waved to Linmend. No. No, 2 million is not money to me, just make a call. Han Qian took out his mobile phone and made a call. After the call was connected, he said bluntly. Director Wei is not sleeping, right? I need 2 million in cash. The Heaven and Earth bar in District 8. Give me half an hour. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian noticed that Linmend's expression changed. Was he having a quarrel with Wei Tiancheng? Han Qian understands. Linmend may be going to attack Wei Tiancheng, but Wei Tiancheng doesn't have any helpers around him now. If Han Qian owed him this favor, Wei Tiancheng would be completely isolated and helpless. But is this right? This will have to wait until Wei Tiancheng arrives. Half an hour later, Wei Tiancheng came over in person, followed by 4 or 5 bodyguards, each carrying a black box in his hand. He walked into the bar and took a glance, and Wei Tiancheng knew the whole story. Wei Tiancheng smiled as the 4 black boxes were placed in front of Luo Shen. Is it enough? If it's not enough, just ask. Wei Tiancheng, help my brother pay for this money. What does Mr. Lin think? There's a quarrel. These 2 grandsons are at loggerheads. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief and sighed. Old Wei, you have helped me a lot. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 478. Chapter 477. In the bar, Wei Tiancheng came and left in a hurry. He put down his money and told Han Qian to call him if he had anything to do. Without even looking at Lu Guangming, Han Qian helped Suliang out of the bar. Just as he stopped the car, Lu Guangming chased after him. Out. Brother Han, I will take you to the hospital. Han Qian stopped. Lu Guangming must have something to say. Han Qian was debating whether to listen or not. When he was debating, Suliang asked Lu Zhulong to get in the car and go home first, informing everyone that they were fine and that Li Li would come to pick him up later. The 2 of them. Lu Zhulong also knew that there were some things that he could no longer interfere with, so he didn't just get in the car and leave. Deputy Lu left, and Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief. If Director Lu has anything to say, just say it. Han Qian, will accept what happened tonight. I spent the $2 million not unjustly. Lu Guangming took a deep breath and said softly. Brother Han, you treat me as your own brother. How could I plot against you? I will transfer the 2 million to Wei Tiancheng in your name right away. This is not a sign of goodwill, nor is it because I feel guilty. I just want to spending this money, and coming here tonight, I really didn't know that something like this would happen. Linmend was wooing me to deal with Wei Tiancheng, and he made the resort shut down for rectification. I can't suffer this loss in vain. Han Qian frowned, and then Suliang spoke. Director Lu, you must know that someone in Shuncheng is poaching me, right? Lu Guangming looked at Suliang and nodded seriously. Indeed, I have selfish motives for poaching you to Shuncheng, but this will not harm the relationship between Brother Su and Brother Han. Lu cherishes talents. Brother Su is talented, so there is no need to stay in glory. Group. Then you want me to take away Han Qian's plan. After saying this, Lu Guangming frowned and said doubtfully. Take away the plan? Where to start? If Lu has a problem, just talk to Brother Han. Why are you allowed to come with the plan? Isn't this just trying to shoot Lu Guangming in the foot? So many things happened and so many words were said. Han Qian was very tired. He was too lazy to think, so he stopped a taxi and went to the hospital. After getting in the car, he waved to Lu Guangming. Brother Lu, we'll meet in a few days to talk. Go in and rest. In the hospital, Suliang was lying on the bed. His head had been sealed with 4 stitches. Fortunately, the soft tissue injury was not serious. Han Qian only had a skin injury, nothing serious. Suliang struggled to sit up and whispered sorry. Han Qian listened. Then he shook his head. Neither of them thought that Luo Fu and those little bastards were not in the same group, nor did they think of this guy's identity, nor did they expect that 2 million would be knocked out of an ashtray. Han Qian took out a cigarette and threw it to Suliang, who was about to light. A young nurse came over angrily and reached out to snatch the cigarettes from their mouths. He also searched Han Qian and took away both boxes of cigarettes. Remember to ask for it when you leave the hospital. I am the nurse responsible for changing the dressings for you too. My name is Hu Sponge. When Han Qian reached out to grab it, the little nurse took out the needle and frowned. A shot of sedative. Han Qian gave in. After the nurse left, Han Qian whispered. You know almost everything that has happened recently. You, Yemen, know my relationship with them. Help me figure out what is going on in tonight's game. What is this old bastard Linmen planning? They are 2 million short of each other. Host. Suliang nodded and whispered. I'll take a few days off to explore a bit. Then we can discuss our ideas and see if we think the same thing or not. We can agree on things that are certain now. Linmend and Wei Tiancheng broke up. Han Qian's words made Suliang nodded. Near dawn, the two of them left the hospital directly without completing the discharge procedures. They didn't take away the 2 boxes of cigarettes. They took a taxi back to the company to pick up the car. Suliang drove home by himself, and Han Qian lay on the bed. I slept in the car for a while and went to work as usual. When Han Qian walked into the general department, everyone's faces were not very good looking. The originally lively atmosphere in the general department became lifeless. Han Qian said with a grin. Good morning, comrades. Lu Zhuolong, who knew the inside story, stood up and said softly. Liang is home. Han Qian nodded and chuckled. Well, I'm back home. It's just a small conflict and an accident. It's nothing serious. Deputy Lu, you can't scare Li Li. We, gentlemen, can handle it. Lu Zhuolong opened his mouth, and finally nodded and sat on the chair. Duan Mingfeng and other people who didn't help last night looked at Han Qian with embarrassment. When Gao Zhuang took the document to ask Yao Shui for advice, Yao Shui was cold. He groaned and stood up to get the water. Although everyone usually gets along well with each other, they are actually divided into 2 groups. The newcomers get together and the old people are close to each other. No one can change this. Before Han Qian could sit down, Xiao Yangjie ran over and told Han Qian that Yan was always looking for her. Han Qian closed his eyes and sighed. No need to ask, Yan Qingqing must know. Walking into Empress Yasha's office and seeing Ji Jing and Yang Lan sitting on the sofa, Han Qian whispered guiltily. Sister Yang, Aunt Ji, good morning, good morning. Seeing Han Qian, Ji Jing stood up without caring about anything, holding Han Qian's face with both hands and looking up and down. When she left last night, she saw Han Qian's face covered with blood. She worried all night, and finally found it on Han Qian's forehead. There was a wound, and Aunt Ji's big eyes were filled with mist. Han Qian gently patted Aunt Ji's shoulder and smiled. "I'm not so lively." After saying that, he looked at Yang Lan and smiled. "Sister Yang, Liang may have to rest for a few days." Yang Lan nodded lightly, not knowing what he was thinking. When Han Qian turned to look at Yan Qingqing, he found that Empress Yasha's face was calm, and he breathed a sigh of relief and said softly, "Mr. Yan, please look for me." Yan Qingqing shrugged and curled her lips. "Did you win or lose the fight last night?" Han Qian scratched his head and smiled. "It's not a loss." Luo Fu's head was opened by Sul Yang, and several little bastards were also dealt with. They took advantage inside and outside. "Oh, go to the lounge and sleep for a while. You look so excited that you haven't slept all night. You woke up talking about something. Lu Guangming called me last night about money. Go to sleep, Ji Zheng. Go help Han Qian make the bed, and Yang Lan, go and appease the members of the ministry. This matter cannot spread any news that is detrimental to our glory." The two women were busy with their own affairs. Han Qian, who didn't want to sleep, couldn't compete with Aunt Ji's tenderness. Ji Jing helped Han Qian take off his shoes and trousers, and urged Han Qian to take off his shirt and get into bed. The curtains were closed. "Prepare a bottle of water and put it on the bedside table." Ji Jing left the lounge carefully, touched the pillow, and felt sleepy. Han Qian quickly fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up, it was already afternoon. His stomach felt extremely empty, so he got up, put on his pants, and walked out with his bare back. In the lounge, rubbing his eyes and yawning. "Mother, do you have food?" "I'm a little, sorry." Under the wide-eyed gazes of several company executives, Han Qian slipped back into the lounge. "What happened to you this day? You have committed a sin." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 479. After sleeping, he owed Yan Qingqing 2 million. Han Qian didn't understand what was going on. He sat on the sofa and stared at Yan Qingqing blankly with rice in his hand, forgetting to chew. "When did I owe you 2 million? Yan Qingqing, why are you saying I owe you money? At the end of last year, you and Gao Jixi didn't get any dividends. I know you don't have much money in your hands, but this year's dividends for your raptor you can't even pretend. You say I owe you money? Why do you want to imitate Wen Nuan when you have nothing to do? She can say that she wants me to have a child with you, so that you can take care of the child at home and not bother her. How can you say such a thing?" Yan Qingqing looked at Han Qian in astonishment, leaning back, her eyes slowly turning disgusting. "Hey, her brain really isn't working very well. I'm not thinking that you owe me something and you won't leave me until you can repay it." Han Qian turned his head and continued eating, saying as he ate, "You transferred the money to Wei Tiancheng." Yan Qingqing stood up and walked to Han Qian. Just as she was about to sit on the coffee table, Han Qian patted her buttocks on the back and said in a deep voice, "Don't you think it's dirty?" Yan Qingqing sat obediently next to Han Qian and whispered, "Lu Guangming called me last night and said that the money must be paid back to Wei Tiancheng. He originally wanted to help you pay it back, but you seem to have some misunderstanding about him, so you persuaded me to come here. I thought 2 million would be enough. It's not much. I don't need to owe my man this little money, Han Qian. Look at me, don't I have the fragrance of this plate of scrambled eggs with leeks?" Han Qian turned his head and glanced at Yan Qingqing, then lowered his head and took a big mouthful of rice, speaking vaguely. "Smells, smells, smells good, you smell great." As soon as she finished speaking, the door of Yan Qingqing's office was violently pushed open. Looking at the people rushing in, Yan Qingqing slapped the case and stood up. "Cai Qinghu, can you have some qualities? Cai King who came over, ignored Yan Qingqing's angry shouts, trotted up to Han Qian, boldly rode on Han Qian's lap, took the rice bowl from his hand, and looked at his head, feeling distressed. Mr. Sir, I heard that you were beaten, and I wanted to come to you last night, but I thought I couldn't help you vent your anger, so I threw all those little brats in. I told their parents, on behalf of my husband-in-law, my daughter-in-law refused to compensate me. She beat my husband-in-law and I didn't even think about getting better. My husband-in-law, you worried me to death. Cai Qinghu's hand pressed Han Qian's head, and Han Qian struggled to get his rice bowl. He was really hungry. Madame Cai's lustful red lips fell on Han Qian's forehead, and then she felt something different and raised his head. Finding that the back of Yan Qingqing's hand was pressed against Han Qian's forehead, Cai Qinghu turned around and spat. Yan Qingqing wiped the back of her hand in disgust and said disdainfully, "Cai Qinghu, can you please pay attention to the occasion? Although Han Qian is single now, he is in my office now and belongs to me. Get out of here right now." Cai Qinghu glared at Yan Qingqing, then suddenly changed his face and smiled. "My husband and I slept in a hotel." Yan Qingqing stood up without changing and walked to the desk, took out a small pill and threw it into her mouth, smiling lightly. "Han Qian, I'll take the medicine first, and you have to wear a condom next time." When the words came out, Cai Qinghu's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He slowly stood up and walked towards Cai Qinghu, speaking word by word. "You. Take. Go." Yan Qingqing squinted her eyes, put her hands on her lower abdomen, and said with squinted eyes, "Do you think I might be pregnant?" As soon as he finished speaking, Cai Qinghu rushed towards Yan Qingqing, grabbed her neck with both hands and shook her hard. At this moment, Han Qian was really not in the mood to watch the two of them act hooligans, so he couldn't say anything. "Can you two stop making trouble? I'll catch up on my sleep in the lounge in the morning, and Qinghu will share a room with 2 beds in the hotel. Qinghu, Luo Fu won't pursue it anymore." Cai Qinghu let go of Yan Qingqing and turned around. "Who? Luo Fu? He dares to pursue the case? I went to Changxiang in the morning. Nuan seemed to know about this matter and was looking for connections to investigate. I also went to tell the Luo Shen. If I were asked to find these few Xiaozazi has something to do with Luo Fu. Even if she has great skills, she can't save her brother. Why didn't you call me when something happened last night? You just lost 2 million like this? It's not much money, but we are aggrieved. 2 million. This is not much money. I heard that the eldest sister really didn't think highly of the 2 million. When Han Qian picked up the bowl and ate, he saw that the plate was full of banknotes. He regretted it. Why didn't he call Cai Qinghu yesterday? Then I thought about it and couldn't make the call." Yan Qingqing covered her neck and took out a baseball bat under the table. Cai Qinghu said calmly without looking at Yan Qingqing, "I'm carrying a gun." Yan Qingqing was stunned for a moment, then Cai Qinghu turned to Yan Qingqing and narrowed his eyes. "If you attack me, it's considered assaulting a police officer." Yan Qingqing put down her baseball bat and said angrily to Cai Qinghu, "Then what does it mean for you to attack me? Let's slay the demons." Puff. What a demon slayer. Han Qian couldn't help laughing. Yan Qingqing couldn't do anything to Cai Qinghu and stamped her feet angrily, but Cai Qinghu's warmth couldn't be done, and Yan Qingqing couldn't do anything to Cai Qinghu. After dinner, Han Qian stretched out and lay on the sofa. Not long after, little Yang Jia came in to clean up the dishes. On the way out, he glanced at the 2 women standing by the desk and couldn't help but he took a deep breath and trotted away. Yan Qingqing was so angry that she turned livid, snorted, ignored Cai Qinghu, and started working. Cai King Hu asked Yan Qingqing softly if he had helped Han Qian pay back the money. Wen Nuan also wanted to know, and Yan Qingqing waved his hands irritably. When the person you paid the money to dies, will you burn them in their graves? Cai King Hu, please stay away from me. I'll find you annoying. Is it blocking your light? It seems like I'm blocking it, hey. I also want to be a pretty, cute lady. Yan Qingqing, please help me fulfill this wish. Go, 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 Cai King Hu, get out of here. Now whenever these three women meet, it's war. Han Qian was too lazy to persuade him. When he opened his mouth, questions would appear, such as who fell into the water, the warm one. Han Qian was still thinking about the purpose of this guy Lin meant, thinking about it. The guy fell asleep. When he woke up again, he was woken up by the ringing of his mobile phone. With his beautiful legs resting on his pillow, Han Qian stretched out and shouted with his eyes closed. "Aunt Ji, where is my phone?" Snort. Han Qian was stunned. The voice was wrong. It was not Ji Jing, Cai King Hu, or Yan Qingqing. Han Qian sat up suddenly and looked at the monster sitting on the sofa. Nursery rhyme. Han Qian quickly stood up and said anxiously. You, why are you here? Tong Yao stared at Han Qian, biting her molar teeth and saying nothing. At this time, Cai King Hu handed the phone to Han Qian and said with a wicked smile. Tong Yao came here to repay Mr. Yan's money. Just when I was resting on the sofa, you naturally rested on his lap. Teacher Tong hasn't moved for 2 hours. My husband. Do Teacher Tong's legs smell good? Oops. Tong Yao yelled shyly and was about to get up. As soon as she got up, she fell on the sofa. Han Qian was such a good sleeper. He slept for more than 2 hours. Tong Yao didn't move for 2 hours. Han Qian answered the phone with confusion. Who is that? Young Master Han, it's me. Do you have time to come and sit at home in the evening? I think young Master Han can give me a chance to explain some things. You're welcome, Director Wei, I'll be there in a minute. Which girl will young Master Han bring over? I'll ask Meow Meow to prepare her favorite dishes in advance. Han Qian glanced at the girls in the office, then smiled. I'll just go there by myself. Don't bother Meow Meow. Just have a regular meal. Then just follow Master Han's advice and make it a daily routine. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian quickly raised his hands. It's not that I won't take you with me. I always feel that there is something wrong with Wei Tiancheng. Your phones are all turned on. I may not necessarily call anyone. I hope you can pick me up as soon as possible. What, I'm leaving first? Tonghui Teacher Tong's legs are a bit numb, she is too thin. Nursery rhyme was furious. Han Qian fled in despair. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 480. Han Qian went to the appointment and drove to Wei Tianquan's home. Han Qian did not bring anyone to the appointment. He was very worried that Go Depeo would show up at Wei Tianquan's home. The probability was very low, but he could not say that he would not take precautions and drove all the way to the central palace villa area. Basically all the people living here are businessmen or company executives. None of the houses here are sold to the yeomanmen, and they dare not buy them because they are too expensive. As soon as he walked into the villa area, Han Qian saw Meow Meow standing on the roadside. Ever since he knew that this woman was the veteran of the alphabet circle, Han Qian had always been a little inexplicably afraid of her. He stopped the car and lowered the window. Meow Meow naturally sat in the passenger seat, her slender legs wrapped in gray stockings and short skirt. It's very short, and it always seems to expose the light, but nothing can be seen. Master Han, you are finally here, but you are freezing to death. Look, my neck is turning red from the cold. Meow Meow knew a lot about cars. She held her chest with both hands and looked at the passenger mirror, and shouted to Han Qian to look at it. Her deliberately pulled down collar, gray stockings, Meow Meow's figure, and soft voice made no impact. Han Qian's self-control. Meow Meow underestimated Han Qian, and Han Qian also overestimated himself. Since his relationship with Tanjio, Han Qian always felt that he was more interested in women than before, but he did not turn into Brother Zhu. He just glanced at Meow Meow. Wonderful, chuckled softly. Dr. Wei is too polite. Miss Meow Meow has suffered in such a cold weather. You're welcome, Mr. Han, but my hands are a little cold. Meow Meow's hand fell on Han Qian's hand that was on the gear after saying that. Even though it was an automatic transmission, Han Qian was still used to putting his right hand on it. When it was touched coldly, Han Qian suddenly retracted his hand with an expressionless face. Meow Meow did not continue to make oversteps and changed the subject lightly. Wei Tianquan's villa was not as grand as Qianling's, and the size was also a bit smaller. There were no servants or housekeepers at home. She came out to greet Han Qian when she entered. Wei is not full. The little girl plunged into Han Qian's arms like a cannonball. Xiao Didi shouted. Uncle, I miss you so much. Han Qian was busy pushing Wei Busong out of his arms. This little girl always made Han Qian confused. She was clingy at first, then indifferent, and now she is like this again, which made Han Qian very confused. Not adaptable. When I didn't know how to deal with these two girls, one older and one younger, Wei Tiancheng appeared. He was wearing casual home clothes, wearing a pair of glasses, holding a string of Buddhist beads in his left hand and a pot of tea in his right hand. He smiled at Han Qian. Said softly. You're not full, Meow Meow, why don't you understand the rules? Why don't you invite young Master Han to sit down? Han Qian chuckled softly. Dr. Wei, you're too polite. It's better to be more casual and comfortable. Wei Tiancheng smiled and Han Qian sat in the living room. Wei Bujuan seemed to want to say something to Han Qian. Meow Meow pulled him upstairs and whispered that girls should be reserved. Han Qian couldn't help wiping his sweat. Wei Tiancheng has said many times that he wants to bring Han Qian and his daughter together, but now Han Qian always feels like a sheep in a tiger's mouth. He took a sip of tea to calm his inner uneasiness. Wei Tiancheng took out a card and put it on the coffee table, saying softly. Young Master Han, you are a little out of touch. Han Qian glanced at the card on the table, put down his teacup and smiled. Director Wei has thought too much. When I called you to help me out, the word outing did not come to my mind. I did not want to return the money to you. I would rather owe Director Wei a favor. Rather than 2 or 3 million people coming and going, it's not interesting, just a few girls around me. At this point, Han Qian looked a little embarrassed, and Wei Tiancheng replied with a smile. I understand what young Master Han means. Young Master Han is a man of great wisdom. I have also heard some legends about young Master Han. He owes 1 for 100. My close friends around me must also know young Master Han. Mr. Yan did not let me suffer any loss after transferring 2 million, I transferred another 200,000. Speaking of which, I'm a little envious of you, but isn't Mr. Han curious why I happily gave you 2 million? Han Qian shook his head with a smile and said with a smile. Isn't it because I have a close relationship with Director Wei? Are there other relationships? Wei Tiancheng also smiled, picked up the teapot and poured tea for Han Qian, and then took out a cigar and handed it to Han Qian. Han Qian declined the cigar and couldn't accept it. He took out the cigarette that Yan Qingqing gave him when he went out. Tiancheng handed over a fire to light, and the two blew smoke. Wei Tiancheng laughed to himself. I know go de peo. As soon as these words came out, Han Qian's body tensed up instantly. Wei Tiancheng waved to Han Qian and said softly. He's not here. I don't know exactly where he is. I attended 3 dinners and Mr. Han encountered danger 3 times. He said that I, Wei Tiancheng, had no problem. Even ghosts would not believe it. I was fined by Cheng Jin not long ago. I, Wei Tiancheng, had 8. I can't even speak clearly when I open my mouth. Han Qian's expression was very calm and he said calmly. Did you bring Gouda Pao into the resort? 2 million is considered compensation to me. His voice was calm, but he was already thinking about what to use to kill Wei Tiancheng. Wei Tiancheng nodded and shook his head. The 2 million is indeed a compensation to Mr. Han, but I definitely didn't bring Go De Pao into the resort. I only met Go De Pao once, and it was at Lin Men's dinner when I had a conflict with you. Maybe Mr. Han doesn't believe it? Han Qian shrugged. I certainly don't believe it. Wei Tiancheng laughed at himself. I don't believe it either. Young Master Han probably hasn't forgotten that Lin Men asked me to find ways to invite you to his birthday party, right? I've heard of this Gouda Pao a long time ago. To be precise, he has contacted me before. I didn't at that time ignore him. This kind of bastard is of no use to me, and the next contact is that someone is looking for this person from me. Who? Luo Shen contacted me, and I was the one who introduced Go De Pao to her. What I didn't expect was that the Lin family and the Luo family plotted against me. Now everyone suspects that it was me, Wei Tiancheng, who asked Go De Pao to touch you. Han Qian nodded lightly. Well, your words are not very convincing. You originally wanted Feng Lun to help you get everything I have now, but Feng Lun tricked you. How can I trust you? Master Han, there are a few things you should think about together. Last time at the dinner table, I admitted that I had a relationship with Feng Lun. I also said that I hoped Feng's Haida would die soon, and I was begging you, Master Han, but Feng's Haida committed suicide. You said you didn't do it? I don't have the ability to do it. Will he commit suicide because of guilt? No. People like Feng's Haida have no bottom line. There must be someone behind the scenes who still wants him to die. Besides, I, Wei Tiancheng, don't have the ability yet. Let the top leader of a city bureau take the blame. Han Qian stretched himself and said softly. What do you want to say? Wei Tiancheng replied calmly. What I'm thinking now is very simple. I've been living happily for half my life. How many more decades can I live? I only have one daughter. I've worked so hard, and why shouldn't I be a dowry? I have a selfish motive for giving money to Han Qian. You say. Lin Mend wants to touch me. After finishing her words, Miao Miao walked down from the 2nd floor in a different pair. It was more like a sexy nightgown than a nightgown. Wei Tiancheng frowned and said. Why are you dressed like this when guests are at home? Young Master Han is not an outsider. It's almost time to eat. Why don't you go upstairs to eat? The restaurant is on the 2nd floor. Wei Tianqiu is indeed a weirdo. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 481. Han Qian and Wei Tiancheng were not in a hurry to go upstairs. Miao Miao turned around and went upstairs, making Han Qian avoid looking. The skirt was too short and the sexy panties showed his appearance. Han Qian coughed lightly and changed the subject. Lin Men took action against you. Your relationship is not very good. Wei Tiancheng laughed at himself. Relationship? Mr. Han, you are thinking too simply. How can there be any relationship in the shopping mall? Lu Guangming killed several of his brothers who had been friends for decades and became the leader. He put the wives and daughters who were sworn brothers into the bed. Linmen, this man is very greedy. He never thought about swallowing up the Wen family and glory before. Lin Zongheng failed to seize the opportunity and let the little phoenix fly. Glory's Lu Shenga and Qian Ling returned to China one after another. This left Lin Mend with no choice. In the remaining companies, Tu Xiao didn't dare to touch him. Lu Guangming had a lot of connections. Who could be easy to deal with? Only Wei Tiancheng, was left. After all, everyone outside seemed to have a subtle relationship with Mr. Han. Have a drink. Inviting Han Qian to go upstairs, Han Qian thought a lot in just a few steps. Could it be that Wei Tiancheng has been isolated? Can you believe what he says? Very credible. Going upstairs, Wei Tiancheng sat in the master's seat, Han Qian sat opposite, Qing Miao and Wei Buletinbao sat on the left and right sides. Wei Buletinbao sweetly called uncle and poured wine for Han Qian. Miao Miao Sheng. A bowl of rice was placed in front of Han Qian. Young Master Han must be hungry. Eat first, then drink. The fragrant breeze hit him. Han Qian always felt that the smell was very familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had smelled it. Taking the rice, Wei Tiancheng pushed the card towards Han Qian again. Master Han, please accept it. Now I know where Gouda Pao is. Please accept the card. Use the word you. Wei Tiancheng kept his position very low. Han Qian took the card and put it next to the bowl without being pretentious. Then he took out his cell phone and waited for Wei Tiancheng to speak. A certain family hotel in District 8, this is the news I eavesdropped on. Han Qian lowered his head and sent a text message to Cai Qinghu, and then said. If you don't see anyone, everything you said just now, Director Wei, is nonsense. Since I invited young Master Han to come over, I won't let young Master Han go back empty-handed. Wei Tiancheng and Han Qian both smiled, and then Miao Miao suddenly spoke. Oh. You two have been chatting downstairs for so long. If you don't eat, you will be cold. Mr. Han, please try this piece of meat. It will be a great tonic for men. Han Qian chuckled and nodded. At this time, Wei Bujuan gave Han Qian a glass of white wine. Uncle, you don't like drinking red wine, right? Han Qian nodded again. He had no intention of talking now and was waiting for Cai Qinghu's reply. At this time, Wei Tiancheng picked up the wine glass and said softly. Master Han, I told you about the person's location. Whether you can catch him or not depends on the ability of the Yamanman. Have a drink first. Just when Han Qian was about to take the wine glass, Wei Bujuan took a small spoon and scooped a spoonful of wine into the cup and stuffed it into his mouth. Wei Tiancheng was furious when he saw this and shouted angrily. Are there any rules? Wei Buebao turned to look at Wei Tiancheng and said angrily. It's like this on TV. I'm worried that you will poison my uncle. The words revealed that Wei Tiancheng was so angry that he wanted to take action. Han Qian said quickly. Director Wei, you are kind-hearted if you are not full. You cannot beat the child. Come on. Drink. Uncle Wen Nuan was right. All good wines are spicy. Maybe it's because he doesn't know how to taste wine. He drank a glass of wine very slowly. Han Qian kept staring at the movement on his phone. About half an hour later, Cai Qinghu replied with a few words. Location locked. Han Qian ignored his cell phone and picked up his wine glass. No matter what Wei Tiancheng said today was right or wrong, he said where the cannon was, and it was not unfair to come today. At the same time, he also knew one thing. Lin Mend and Wei Tiancheng had a falling out. I used to guess that Lin Mend had brought Go De Peo, but I didn't expect that the real person was Luo Shen. After a glass of white wine, Han Qian said softly. Director Wei, Lin Mend has a large network of connections in the city. Wei Tiancheng replied calmly. He has a wide network of contacts. In terms of age, he is 2 generations older than you. The roots of this old tree are deep-rooted in the city, and are involved with people in neighboring cities and even above. I was too reckless when I was young, and there were many it's too easy for him to get me with all the dirty information and leverage. So you hurry up and get involved with me? I'm a little too cheap. 2 million is just an appetizer, a stone across the river. As he finished speaking, Han Qian felt something was wrong under the table. One foot fell on his lap and gradually moved closer to his private parts. Han Qian reached out and grabbed the foot under the table. Meow Meow bit her chopsticks with a look on her face. Han Qian stood up and said softly, "I'm going to the bathroom." Wei Tiancheng said immediately. "Meow Meow, please take Mr. Han." Before Han Qian could refuse, Meow Meow had already stood up. In the bathroom, Han Qian took his mobile phone and sent a text message to Cai Qinghu, but nothing happened. She seemed to be busy. As soon as Han Qian lifted his pants, the bathroom door was opened. Meow Meow walked into the bathroom and closed the door, giving Han Qian a wink. The shoulder strap slipped off. Han Qian took a deep breath and walked towards Meow Meow with a smile on his lips. "Bend over, squat." Picking up the skirt on the floor and helping Meow Meow put it on again, she chuckled. "I really don't know how to use this smart toilet. Sorry, Miss Meow Meow, your clothes are a little too loose." After saying that, Han Qian opened the bathroom door and walked to the living room. It seemed as if nothing had happened. When he returned to the table, Wei Tiancheng picked up the wine glass and smiled lightly. "Young Master Han, some things seem to be illegal, but they all show my sincerity. Send money. Tell Go the location of the cannon. Send a woman." All the things Wei Tiancheng did made Han Qian a little cautious. After another glass of white wine, Wei Tiancheng said a lot. Han Qian had no intention of listening. He felt hot in his lower abdomen and various pictures appeared in his mind. He was wearing gray stockings. Meow Meow, Meow Meow took off her clothes in the bathroom. All these stimulated Han Qian. There was something wrong with the wine and Meow Meow's perfume. Han Qian's head was heavy and he fell on the table with a thud. Seeing this, Wei Tiancheng's expression was dull. Wei Bushan looked at Han Qian with disdain, curled his lips, stood up and walked to the bathroom. Looking at Meow Meow standing at the door of the bathroom, Wei Bushan said with disdain, "Shameless bitch." Facing the insult, Meow Meow was not angry at all. She looked at Wei Buebao and pouted. "It's not because of you, a little prodigal, that Li Duoli and I asked about Han Qian's personality. He is very old-fashioned and conservative. He didn't react at all when I took off my clothes just now. It gave you an advantage." Wei Bushan frowned and said angrily, "What do you mean by taking advantage of me? I am also a virgin. You are using me to make a deal." "Deal? If your father hadn't said that you liked Han Qian, would I have left it to you? After taming a person like him, he will definitely be particularly satisfied and eager to conquer. Your father is also doing it for your own good. When you have a relationship, Han Qian will, if I marry you, to whom will the expanded family fortune be given? Or to you? How many cents can I get?" Wei Busao's heart was moved. He turned his head to look at the restaurant, lowered his head and whispered, "He's so heavy, I don't understand either." Meow Meow looked at the restaurant with burning eyes and said softly, "I'll teach you from the side." Han Qian heard the conversation between the two clearly. Their voices were not quiet. Although his head was heavy and his body was hot, but Han Qian was holding a blade he took out from the bathroom, and put his bleeding hand on his pants to prevent the blood from falling to the ground. Slowly, desire was about to break through his reason. Meow Meow and Wei Busong were also standing on the left and right, seeming to be ready to take action. Han Qian's face was covered with sweat, and when the heat in his body immediately burned the last trace of reason, he sat down suddenly. He stood up, grinned at Wei Tiancheng, and then ran away. When Meow Meow was knocked to the ground, she found Han Qian's bleeding hand. In shame and anger, Meow Meow said angrily, "You can't fix my medicine even if you go to the hospital. Han Qian, you will come back obediently." After leaving the villa, Han Qian returned to the car and took out his hands to wash the wounds on his hands, but then he remembered the scene of Meow Meow sitting in the passenger seat. He looked like he was pulling open the pair of grey stockings. A bottle of water was poured from his head, and Han Qian kept swallowing his saliva at the women passing by in the community. At this time, Han Qian saw Meow Meow walking towards him. Han Qian was afraid. He was really scared, so he kept himself awake, and the car sped away. As soon as he left the community, Lacerati crashed into a tree. The impact and pain did not make Han Qian wake up, but made him even more excited, and the pain in his lower abdomen, the heat enveloped his body, and he felt like there were many ants crawling on him, constantly tearing at his clothes. Han Qian was going crazy. He took out his phone and frantically searched for the number. When he pressed the dial button, he remembered something. The number has been blocked. But this time it magically connected. "Wait for me in the room. I was drugged." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 482. Han Qian got out of the car and didn't care what the car looked like. He covered his crotch with the phone in one hand and ran away with the phone in the other. Tong Yao never hung up the phone and kept yelling at Han Qian on the phone. "Are you a fool? I told you last time that Wei Tiancheng is not as good as you thought, yet you still go and wait where you are. I'll be there soon." Han Qian took the phone and told Tong Yao to have a good time and buy a box cover at the same time. Tong Yao was so angry that she went crazy on the phone. When she was scolding Han Qian for being shameless, she saw this guy. Tong Yao threw 100 yuan to the driver and got out of the car, and rushed to the man on the side of the road who kept pouring water on his head. Bent down and touched the bricks on the ground. He really wanted to hammer this guy to death. Just as he was about to take action, Han Qian pointed to the hotel across the road, and nursery rhymes were on the verge of going berserk. Dragging Han Qian into the hotel, providing his ID card, throwing money upstairs, entering the room, Han Qian rushed towards Tong Yao. Tong Yao slapped Han Qian's crotch. Han Qian was almost knocked unconscious, and then was dragged by Tong Yao. The back collar gripped the bathroom. "Tong, Gilialu, ah. You want to, Gilialu, Tong monster, I was wrong, Gilialu." Things were different from what Han Qian thought. He was pushed into the pool by Tanjao again and again. Han Qian woke up a little, but it had no practical effect. Tanjao looked at Han Qian's privacy and tilted his head. "It doesn't seem to be working. You are clear-headed now." Han Qian looked down at the only pair of underwear left. He was also stunned. His mind was clear. He almost died in the pool because of the nursery rhyme. He couldn't do it even if he didn't wake up. All the actions of this monster were not what Han Qian expected. After all, they had sex, and Tanjao was still awake. Looking at Han Qian, Tanjao was not shy. She stood up suddenly, and Han Qian was frightened and took a step back and fell into the bathtub. "Gilu olu olu. I drank a lot of water." Nursery rhyme walked out of the bathroom and said softly, "I'll go downstairs to borrow a sickle." "Gilu, don't, I'll do it myself, child monster." Bump. Tong Yao closed the door hard, leaned against the sliding door and growled through gritted teeth. "It's best if you do it yourself." "Han Qian, I don't understand why you called me. Yu Shisai and Jijing can help you. You called me to do this. Do you think I'm frivolous? Or are you saying that you have used me as a tool to vent your sexual desires?" In the bathroom, Han Qian's legs were outside the bathtub, and the rest of his body was soaked in the water. After hearing the words coming from outside the door, Han Qian frowned and sighed softly. Sorry. Outside the door, Tong Yao sat on the floor tiles with his hands on his knees and whispered. What's the use of saying sorry to the police? Han Qian, I owe you money and favors. I can also say that without you, I don't know how bad life would be like now, but I don't like you, I really don't like you. There is only one dream between you and me, one. A dream that you love me. The nursery rhyme outside the door was stunned. He didn't expect that Han Qian would remember the sentence. He slowly stood up and said softly. I'll buy you clothes, you can handle it yourself. Han Qian didn't answer. This was the only way now. He definitely couldn't go to the hospital. Han Qian couldn't afford to embarrass this person. He was now somewhat of a celebrity in the city. If he was found out, he wouldn't be able to keep his face. It would indeed be too reckless to call nursery rhyme. Han Qian didn't have the intention to solve it by himself. He took the shower head and let out the cold water to wash his head. This was the only way he could stay awake now. Han Qian didn't know how much damage it would cause to his body. He is not a body hollowed out by wine and sex, he is young, strong, and full of vigor. Looking for a way to be distracted, Han Qian found his cell phone. Looking at the text messages and missed calls on it, Han Qian called Cai King Hu. Xiao Hu, what's the result? Xiang, Xiangong, wow. Cai King Hu cried, heartbreakingly. Han Qian could hear Cheng Jin and Li Jinhai's consolation on the other side of the phone, but it turned out that he no longer had to listen. Han Qian took the phone and comforted Cai King Hu softly. He didn't know that he was arrogant. I am still sick and still have the time to comfort others. After consoling him for more than 10 minutes, Cai King Hu stopped crying and told Han Qian 2 pieces of news. Hook Cannon ran away. Cai King Hu's gun hit him. During the more than 10 minutes of the phone call, Wei Tiancheng made many calls. It was only after he comforted Cai King Hu and promised that he would see her tomorrow that he answered Wei Tiancheng's call, and Han Qian began to curse. Wei Tiancheng, I care about your mother. The cordial greeting silenced the other side of the phone for a few seconds, and Wei Tiancheng's voice came out with a hint of resentment. Master Han, I just want you to get along with my daughter. I have absolutely no bad intentions. She is my daughter. I kissed your grandma with a whistle. If you humming wanted it but I didn't. Go de Peo ran away. If you don't show your sincerity, let's fight no one by one. You should know what will happen to Li Dahai within a week. If you don't catch the cannon, Wei Tiancheng, just wait for death. The call I just made was to Feng Lun. Master Han, everything is a misunderstanding. The compensation will be sent to the Glory Group tomorrow morning. Wei is looking for someone. Wei Tiancheng hung up the phone, but Han Qian, who had finally cleared his brain, thought of Wei Tiancheng and thought of the wonderful medicine. Han Qian didn't know what the medicine was. The only thing he could be sure of was that it was better than nursery rhymes for him. Much more frightened. Gradually, Han Qian felt that the cold water had no effect. His breathing became rapid and his eyes turned scarlet again. Han Qian could no longer hold on. At this time, the sound of nursery rhymes came from outside. It seemed that Han Qian had finished buying clothes and came back humming a tune. Tong Yao opened the bathroom door and smiled. It's time for you to finish. Han Qian's body was very red, his face was painful and he was covering his lower body, breathing heavily through his nose, and his eyes were terrifyingly scarlet. Nursery rhyme closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and murmured softly. This is retribution. Tong Yao stretched out her hand to pull Han Qian, but was slapped away. Tong Yao did not extend her hand, but bent down and blew a breath of warm air into Han Qian's ear. Han Qian turned around and stared at Tong Yao with scarlet eyes. In a second, Tong Jiao grabbed Han Qian's arm and pulled him out of the bathtub, pulled him down to the living room and threw him on the bed. Han Qian. Now it's not me who owes you, but you who owe me nursery rhymes. Tanjeo walked to the balcony and closed the curtains. When she turned around again, the chiffon shirt on her upper body was already falling in the air. Instead, the long denim skirt fell on the sofa. Han Qian struggled to get up. At this time, Tanjeo had already arrived. Bedside. Turiti pressed Han Qian's shoulders and whispered. You have persisted for 26 years, Han Qian. Aren't you tired? One sentence destroyed the last trace of sanity in Han Qian's heart, and he turned over and suppressed the nursery rhyme under his body. The picture is rippled and full of spring scenery. I don't know if Han Qian is singing a nursery rhyme, or if the nursery rhyme is filled with Han Qian. This time Han Qian lost his mind, but he was conscious. Stories and accidents. Bad relationships and disputes.